So, welcome everybody. This is our bite-sized podcast of Let's Talk Energy, Season 1, Episode 12. A whole year, Joe. A whole year. So, my name's Amanda Brooks, and this is my beautiful colleague,
Dall. Hello, pleased to meet you. See you again, I should say.
Yeah, and maybe it's pleased to meet you because there may be people that have come across that this is their very first time. So welcome to everybody. So the idea of this podcast is we talk about energy. There is so many different energy practitioners out there, and we kind of have this jargon that we think that you already should know what it is we're talking about. And so Joe came up with this amazing idea to start this podcast. So thank you for that inspiration so that we could, break it down a little bit, give you some self-help tools, things that will help you, whilst also, getting to know a bit about the work that we do and the myriad of different things that there are around that can help you. So each month, Joe came up with this amazing idea of us sharing our tool of the month. I say amazing because, as Joe said last month, it has got rather stressful. So what has your tool been, Joe?
So this month I've been using Oracle cards. I use them a lot. I've got lots of sets, but the ones that I was drawn to keep choosing this month have been the Oracle cards, the medicine cards. And these are all animals, and there is a handbook with them. So you choose the card that calls to you, and then the wisdom for that animal, whether it be a bird or an animal, is then there to give you some guidance as to why you were called to pick that. And with any oracle cards, and I don't know if anybody who's listening uses oracle cards, often you pick a card and what card shows you or shares with you is something that's quite profound and very, very poignant for that moment in time. So yeah, I love oracle cards, and these are the ones that I'm using currently. What about you?
So because we're in February and it's all about the love energy, I've been using rose quartz. So it doesn't have to be a very big piece. And rose quartz, it's about promoting self-love and self-compassion. It's not necessarily about loving somebody else, but it's really more about loving oneself. So what you can do with it is you can carry it in your pocket, you can have it by your bed, you can sort of like hold it, whatever it is that feels great for you, because it's so good for helping to heal our emotions. The only thing that I will say is make sure that you do wash it like under running water for a minute or two every day, because the crystals, they absorb what we're releasing. And if you don't, they tend to crack or pulsate back out all the stuff that's in there, which is not the place that we want to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And also don't do what I do, which is sometimes to put them in my bra, and then I kind of adjust things, and then this crystal will pop out on the floor in the middle of somewhere, and everybody looks at me gone out and goes, what on earth was that? So just be mindful, if you are a lady and you do pop it in your bra, not to adjust in public necessarily, because it could always just pop out. So just a little tip there for those who wear their crystals in their bra. So today, what are we going to talk about? So today we felt like it was really important to explain a little bit more about the nervous system. So many people know what the nervous system is, but it's that correlation between the nervous system and energy that often people don't recognize or understand. So we thought we would just touch on this today, because as you know, we like to keep these podcasts bite-size, and we are also going to touch on the vagus nerve. And again, you may have heard of it, but you might not fully understand it. We will again briefly go into the vagus nerve and what it can do and how it can be affected. But what we're going to do over the coming months in our new series, which is starting next month, is to do a deeper dive into these every now and again to give you a little bit more wisdom so that you can then understand more fully how they can affect you and your well-being. So starting with the nervous system. So the nervous system, as you know, is something within our bodies that affects our whole system, particularly our brains, our spines, and there is a real science behind the nervous system. It's like our wiring system, and it channels through the life force, which we have touched on before, which can be known as the chi or the prana, and it flows between the body, the mind, and the spirit. And it's our antennae. It gives us that knowing of how we are receiving information, how we're processing information. It's like a vibration that goes on constantly, and I would say 24/7, within our systems. And in that receiving of information, processing of information, and dealing with information, obviously it's not always just information. It's processing emotions, it's processing how we're feeling. And I think that that's where there's really deep correlation between how we are and our nervous system. And so we talk about how can this affect us energetically. What would you say, Amanda, is how things can really affect us energetically with our nervous system?
So for me, eh, so many things are affecting our nervous system. We've got like the Wi-Fi, we've got all the computer screens, all the technology that is affecting. And I get a lot of electric shocks. I get a lot of buildup of static when I've been around. And it's like my nervous system is kind of almost cranky, and not as in a bad mood, but it's just like if I go to touch something, sparks can fly, even though I'm not touching anything metallic. So I know when my nervous system is like that buildup. And one of the great tools is the one that you mentioned a number of episodes ago, where you're sort of like you're using the side of that electric motor in the field just to discharge, and that obviously can help with the nervous system itself. But I found that when the nervous system is being affected, it's like our body loses the ability to transmit messages from one part to another of ease. So you can get like a bit of confusion. What have you noticed?
So I think if we talk about things that can really affect the nervous system, overload, and we're talking about February. We get to February having managed to get through January, and quite often we have a little bit of a dip, a bit of a dive in our mood, and things can then feel quite overwhelming. What we need to be mindful of is that stress or overload or overwhelm all have a significant effect on our nervous system, and it can leave us feeling a little bit more anxious, frazzled, a little bit more sensitive to the world and people. How often do we hear that somebody might say, well, I'm feeling really, really irritable at the minute, but what's happening is their nervous system is being irritated for whatever reason, and it's hitting that overload, and it doesn't know how else to deal with it. That can then affect our sleep. One of the other things that I've noticed really significantly with my clients is knocks, shocks, and falls can affect our nervous system so significantly. And, it is that, like, how, if we hear something that is going to throw us a little bit, how does the nervous system process that when it's already stretched or overloaded? And that's when it can really affect us massively. You
Yes.
mentioned about the energetic misalignment. Can we talk a little bit more about the auric field and meridians and how that echoes with the nervous system?
Yeah, because when it's like when you were just mentioning like shock or little bits. So each day, our subconscious, it files away everything that we have done, everything that we've seen, that we've heard, that we've felt. But sometimes, because of the stress, the overwhelm, trauma, shocks, falls, the body will file loads of pieces of information all together as if it's one. And what happens is that the emotions get caught up in our auric field, that energy around us. We think our emotions are within us. They do come within us, but they get stored energetically out here. And then every time we come across something similar, the body goes, oh, yeah, but then it brings in the whole of the story. So it's like our nervous system becomes even more, if I say traumatized, that sounds like a very strong word, but it's like they're these little insidious pieces of stress. And then one thing happens, and it's like the straw that broke the camel's back. And you're looking around, you're thinking, well, what have I done? What have I done? And we're trying to put the hooks on what's caused it. But it's been the buildup of all of these different parts. And then what happens is our meridian system, our energy system, that also can get a little bit kinky because it's trying to move around where the body is storing all the different shocks and traumas. Because, if somebody goes and they go boo, and you go, oh, that catches right up in the diaphragm. And then that affects a lot of the meridians that go down the front of the body, and it's caught in with the breath. And that's directly linked in to the nervous system. So yeah, this is a meaty subject,
It
isn't it?
is. And we will
Yeah.
talk about it in more detail over the coming months. One of the other things that can really affect the nervous system is our ancestral imprint, the DNA helix that we carry from generations to generations. And that in itself can land with us and immediately start to affect our nervous system without us really understanding, again, where or why we feel like we do. And it causes an unnecessary stress for our system, but it could go generations back, so many generations back. So I think really, let's explore these topics in much more detail over the coming months to give you all a greater understanding as to how the nervous system and the energy system are so closely linked and how important they are. But we just wanted to share with you today some things that you can do to help you to recalibrate your nervous system. So one of the things that we do with the work that we do is kinesiology and energy healing. And that is a great way to reprogram old patterning that can be affecting our nervous system. For me, one of the practices that I share with my clients a lot is grounding. And that means walking or standing barefoot on the earth, on the grass, on your patio, wherever you've got, to really kind of bring that earthing back into the body. And please don't think that this is woo-woo. There is science now proving that grounding is working for our energetic nervous system. So yeah, those things are really important. What other things can help to support our nervous system?
Well, when you look at vibrational healing and sound frequencies, so it could be putting on a beautiful piece of music that you really like, or you can go on the internet and you could find like YouTube videos of 5 to 8 hertz sound vibration or singing bowls. Okay, it's not tailored specifically for you, but what it's done is there are loads out there to help heal the nervous system. And you could just have those playing in the background. And I found them really, really helpful over the years, and often give them as homework to clients to go and listen to, even if it's just for 5 minutes a day.
Yeah,
It's that reset point.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the tools that we both use daily to help recalibrate our nervous system, and we've been using this now for, well, I've been using it for 3 years. I think you've been using it for 2 years now, is New Calm. And so I'm just going to hand over to Amanda because we've got something a little special for you.
Yes, so what we wanted to do is, because this is the end of our first year, we wanted to do a special prize draw where basically you have the email address under the video and you just email with your name and your number. And one lucky person will win a year's free subscription to the new Calm app. And on there, it blows my mind. There are so many beautiful things on there. There is that one in there where you are working to reset the nervous system. There's ones on there to help with sleep. I mean, I use it for the nervous system, I have to say, because life can just be that little bit intense with all the different things. And I and Joe, I believe this is the same for you. We're always keeping ourselves in the best place possible to do the best work that we can. So for us to use this and it make a significant difference, we just really wanted to share it with one lucky winner.
Yeah. So yes, so please do pop in your email addresses and your contact details to us, and we'll be drawing that on the 28th of February. So we're now going to talk about the vagus nerve. Amanda, would you like to share with people what the vagus nerve is?
So the vagus nerve, when you're learning it, it's the 10th cranial nerve, and it's one of the longest nerves in the body, and it's called the wanderer because it wanders in and out of a lot of different places. So it wanders into the heart, into the lungs, into the diaphragm. It's literally linked into the nervous system. And it is feeding back information all the time. It affects how your body digests as well. So digest information, food, the whole side of it. And it's a key part within the parasympathetic nervous system. And more, you are seeing research out there in the last 2 or 3 years. And it's been so lovely because I've been working with the vagus nerve for decades and I felt like I was out there on my own. And now there's so much research coming in about how important it is in relation to our health and our well-being. But it's a bit like the communication superhighway between the brain and the body. So it's filtering out the information. So again, all the pieces that we were saying earlier for the nervous system, if they're going on, it can be that the vagus nerve itself is also included.
Yeah. And, again, things that can really affect the vagus nerve are stress and poor sleep, emotional well-being. So when we're feeling a little bit depleted or not quite feeling so kind or compassionate to other people, then the vagus nerve can be the root cause of that emotion, that feeling. Also, the vagus nerve is really key, and not many of us are aware of this, to, Amanda said, digestion, but also inflammation and circulation. So it's really key for a healthy, balanced immune system. So again, we're going to go into this in more detail because, you can see us twitching here and looking at the time thinking, oh, we could keep going on here for a couple of hours. And you would at this moment in time be thinking, please don't. So we're just dipping into this, but we're in February. And this is the month in the year when we often feel depleted, a little bit low. So we thought we would just share some really simple tips and tools with you again that you can just begin to explore yourself. I'm going to go for my top 2, Amanda, and then I'd like you to share a couple that you really resonate with. But mine are vibration is really key for the vagus nerve. And when I say vibration, I mean the noise that we can create, because that then triggers our vocal cords, which stimulates our vagus nerve. So you can either hum, which I'm not very good at, or you can use the om. And that is a fantastic tool to use on a daily basis, just for a few minutes. And it is literally just going for as long as you can do. And you can feel the vibration at the back of your throat, and knowing that that's stimulating the vagus nerve is fantastic. Amanda doesn't like this one, but cold water is fantastic for the vagus nerve. For those of you who like to lie in a bath of cold water or ice in your gardens, for those of you who like to end your shower with a cold shower, or like me, we've got a swimming pool near me that's an open air, natural spa pool that's open all the year round. But even something so simple as splashing your face with cold water can stimulate the vagus nerve. So what would you have to share to help the vagus nerve?
So one of my favorite ones is breath work, because we all breathe and it really gets you into the moment. Ideally, well, you can do box breathing, which you breathe in for, say, 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds. But for the vagus nerve, one of the things that I found is better is that if you breathe in for, say, the count of 4, but then you forcibly breathe out through the mouth for 8, it sounds like, well, you're not taking in as much as you're letting out. But the thing is, what happens is it helps to reset the vagus nerve, which then has that knock-on effect with the nervous system. So that's one. And then the other one, which again is quite simple if you can, but you get your hands so that you've got your heel of your hands together, and you put them around the base of your throat with your fingers going up towards the back of the skull. And you keep your hands there for, say, a minute, and just literally do that. What that does is that helps, because just very slight pressure on both sides helps that vagus nerve to calm down.
Yeah.
So they're just simple ones that don't cost anything to do, like your own. And that's what we want, isn't it? We want things that are simple that we can all do.
In fact, just whilst we've been talking and knowing how February can land for some people, I'm just wondering, as well as our prize draw for New Calm this month, why don't we put together a PDF that we can offer you, where all you need to do is to contact us on our email address, and I will send you a PDF with some of these exercises, just so that you can really incorporate them into your day. And, we would love feedback from you as to how they help you to recalibrate your energy system, your nervous system, and your vagus nerve.
Wow, that was a new one. Didn't warn me of that one. That's brilliant. And that's what we do. We literally don't plan these talks, do we? We just go for that. So would you like to do the brief overview of what we've done today?
Yes, so today what we've done is we've obviously spoken about our tips and tools for what we use in our practices for ourselves, but also we have touched on, and I say that because there is so much more we can share with you about this. We've touched on the nervous system, and we have touched on the importance of the vagus nerve. And today we just wanted to bring those into your awareness, because they're not just standalone. They really are affected by our energy, and they affect our energy. And so we will be sharing more information on those in the coming season.
Wonderful. So in the meantime, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me. See you next time.